3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulator test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Live tonight from the Eldora Speedway, LSR TV is happy with you to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to LSR TV's continuing coverage of the CEA American Pool Supply Truck Series on your home for sim racing at the iRacing Esports Network. We are tonight from Eldora. We return to the dirt for yet another race on this 2018 campaign, and we're so happy that again you are spending a Sunday evening with us. Myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside with Gabe Wood up at the LSR TV booth this evening. Our producer Cisco Scaramuza downstairs bringing us to you. And Gabe, not the first time this season that we have mixed it up just a little bit. We've had plenty of time all year to talk about some of the more unique racetracks that this series has been to. We've been to Knoxville much earlier in the season, but if you think about dirt, more specifically, I think if you think about dirt on iRacing, Eldora is certainly the place that comes to mind, and we have an action-packed night ahead of us.
Yes, Evan, good to be here at the place Earl Baltus built, and it's the track that was really advertised whenever iRacing first put out the dirt content, and it was one of the reasons that we had it was because of the truck series. You know, it's the first NASCAR series to come back to a dirt track in what was about 50 years, the first NASCAR touring series, I should say. And it is just such a great combination with the dirt, the truck arm suspension with these NASCAR truck series. vehicles, and I'm looking forward to it tonight because this setup, you know, when we first got the dirt content, Evan, the truck was a little bit tight. You had a lot of grip, but these last few builds, they've actually made it a lot looser, and you can't even get to 100% throttle usually because the car starts to kick out from you. So it's going to be very interesting later in the night.
Yeah, the truck used to be the vehicle that you kind of jumped in for a safe experience, maybe is the way to put it on the dirt, and it has certainly gotten a lot more challenging as the builds have progressed to the iRacing service. And I think something else that we've noticed over the course of the year is we've really gotten a good idea of who the drivers to keep an eye on. So as we come into this evening, Eldora Speedway, very much in the back third, I think, of this 2018 campaign. You take a look at the championship standings thus far. By far and large, it is all Christian Peterson who leads the way. He has over 133 points to his next closest competitor. I don't suspect, Gabe, that we're going to have some sort of crazy 2-month stint where somehow Peterson loses all of that. I think is in a very good position to be able to close out the season here with still a lot left to go on the calendar that's going to bring us all the way through the end of November. But there's certainly a lot more to keep an eye on in the points because everybody third on back, much tighter. So the likes of Theodore, Kempf, and Paulson, I think, well, we're certainly going to be watching if Peterson can continue his on-track success. I think all of the action in the points going to be a little bit further away from those top couple of spots where it seems pretty settled as of now.
Yeah, and Evan, it's a great even points fight. It's nobody, you know, riding on the fact that, you know, maybe they didn't run a race and they could use that as a drop week if there are drop weeks in this series. But you got 13, 14 guys who have run all the races this year, or maybe even all but one. But they're all up inside the top 12, top 15. And you got guys like, of course, you said John Theodore and William Kemp. If that fight for the podium spot in the championship, it's up for grabs. And if somebody like Tyler Dalton, he starts to slip here, you'll start seeing him get caught by the guys who are on a roll recently. You know, you've got the same amount of stats basically for your top three in the top 10s department. Of course, you get the more consistent driver, Christian Peterson, who has 8 top 10s on the season, 4 wins. Of course, he is going to be your points leader. But it's pretty even up through your top 10 until you get to about, you know, John McNaughton and Kenny Lowry, who have all run up front all season, just haven't got the finishes to show for it. They've got wins. It's going to be a tight points finish coming down to the end of it.
And it is going to be a fun format tonight again as we return to the dirt. It is a 100-lap main event that is going to highlight tonight's action, but we don't necessarily just go right into that because obviously you got to qualify our way into the main events. And heat race number 1 is gridded up trackside. 5 bonus points also going to be up for grabs in the championship standings to your heat race winners. Let's go trackside and introduce you to your heat race number 1 starting grid. It's going to be 8-lap heat races as we look to transfer these drivers into the main event as the night goes on. And Andrew Fayash III will be the first driver to bring us to the green flag tonight. The 77 is on pole for heat 1. He will be accompanied on the outside of the front row by the 19. That is Tyler Dalton. Todd Garrett and Gerald Campbell going to make up row 2. They'll be 3rd and 4th respectively, with John Theodore just behind them in the number 5 spot. Gary Sexton in 6th and Derek Paulson in 7th is going to be your complete look top to bottom in your heat race number 1. And talk a little bit more, Gabe, about what we're going to see here at the Eldora Speedway. When it comes to the dirt tracks, it is much larger and a lot wider than a lot of the places we come to. And again, certainly seeing these NASCAR trucks on a track like this, nothing that I think anybody should be unfamiliar with, since NASCAR has returned here with the Truck Series as of a couple of years ago. This is a very popular car track combination, not only outside of the sim, but also throughout iRacing.
You know, it's funny, Evan, you come in here to Eldora and you think dirt racing, you think hitting the cushion. You're not really going to see a cushion form that's going to affect how these trucks drive. It's just there's such a large distance between the back of the rear bumper, the quarter panel, and the rear tire. Those guys aren't really going to be able to hit it. But what you are going to see these guys do early in the race, and especially in these heat races, we've got a brand new track surface. These guys are going to run the top. You're going to see them start to bang that right rear fender off the wall, trying to get the car pointed to go back down the racetrack. It's an all-momentum game, especially here at Eldora, and it's just going to be trying to find grip and trying to get the car hooked up off the corner. Some of these guys are good at it. Some of them are going to have to take a little bit more time to get a hold of it here in this heat race.
And another big thing to keep in mind, obviously, when we go heat racing, is the fact that you try to get yourself into a good position. The good news for all of the drivers in the race here tonight is everybody will have an opportunity to race in that 100-lap main event. However, of course, these heats of the LCQ going to determine the order in which they qualify. So the top 3 finishers in this heat and all of the heats that will follow, those will be the drivers who will lock in to some of those top qualifying positions for the main event later on this evening. And of course, the worse you do in these qualifier races, the tougher it's going to be for you, I think, to go for the race win from further back in the pack by the time we go main event racing. But the pace truck's going to head off and in. It is heat race number 1 in the CEA Truck Series. Green flag in the air, lap 1 of just 8. Here comes the 13 to Todd Garrett, 3 wide for the race lead early. The 77 of Fayash is in the middle, and they're still 3 wide now out of 2.
3 wide still going into turn number 3. Tyler Dalton uses that outside lane to get the advantage, drives it off straight, gets up into the wall just a little bit, coming off of 4. He's going to have the lead, I believe, at the start-finish line. Yes, he will, so he will lead lap number 1 of this 8-lap heat race. 13 of Todd Guerin, what a jump from him. He had a good restart, and he was able to get to the inside of the 77 of Fayash. And Fayash, he said during practice he wished that he didn't know, that he had known that they were going to repack the surface here at Eldora, because he spent the entire time trying to figure out how to run the bottom. Unfortunately, the top line is here with this new surface.
And by the time that number 77, Machida Fayash, finds that outside line, he is running 3rd position. Guerin was able to get up and around, so was Tyler Dalton. So the 77 still in a transfer spot now. Gerald Campbell going to be the first challenger if that spot does come up for grabs. And you can notice some drivers get noticeably more sideways than others, but they are all way up top, as we're already now past halfway in this 8-lap heat race to open up the evening. Again, only the top 3 drivers get to automatically qualify in to the main event.
Let's take a look at Tyler Dalton, your leader. I mean, he is just throwing this car in. He's almost throwing it in like maybe a wingless sprint, or he did the last couple laps. He takes a little bit of a better line through there, but he ends up paying the price for it. Taps the wall. That's what I was talking about. You go up into the corner and it starts to get tight, but instead of hitting the wall full on, you just use that rear end of the car to hit it, and it bounces off, resets the car, and you just drive off the corner. He appears to be pulling away. 2 laps to go at the line this time.
So far, so good. He's getting it up and into the outside wall. So your race leader, Tyler Dalton, maybe a little bit overzealous that time as he went off into 3 and 4. Just 2 laps left to go from Eldora in heat race number 1. No changes, interestingly enough, after we saw all of it bust wide open at the very start of this race, where we went 3-1 in a battle for the race lead, and since then things have been rather tame. Not many changes throughout the pack. Should also tell you, Gary Sexton, who was supposed to start 6th in this heat race, did not come to take the green flag, so it was a 6-car race. The 13 of Todd Guerin wants to go for a move in the final quarter. It is not going to happen, and it is Tyler Dalton off of the quarter who will win heat race number 1, accompanied by Todd Guerin in 2nd and Andrew Fayash the 3rd, fittingly enough in 3rd, with the drivers who are headed to the main event already.
Getting ready for heat number 2 here at Eldora. It's going to be Blake Neer, Christian Peterson starting on row number 1. Evan, looking to be a pretty strong heat here. You've got Landon Austin, haven't really heard that name before, but James Krahula, John McNaughton also has a win here this year. Paul Henley and Matthew Murphy round out your top 7 drivers. Those are going to be your 7 who compete in heat number 2. A stacked heat here with Christian Peterson, your points leader, and Blake Neer on the pole.
And a big takeaway I get from that first heat is if you want to make moves, I think right out of the gate is your best opportunity to do so. Now, again, it's Eldora. Certainly these drivers competitive all the way to the end. You saw just how close this top 3 got together in that final quarter as they all looked to see if they could get that little bit extra. But certainly I think out of the gate here is going to be best opportunity if you're starting outside of those top 3 transfer spots.
Now, Evan, I got to ask this question early in this race while we still have another pace lap to go here. If you're Christian Peterson, if you're not as competitive as you think you are, for the race, do you just kind of run in the middle and see what comes to you, to salvage that points lead going into the final few races of the year? Or do you try and get better, go full out, and go for the win?
I think what we've seen out of Christian Peterson, I think that gap also gives him enough of a comfortable advantage that I think the 23 is just going to go for it. Dirt racing is always a very different animal. There are still a ton of races to go, so you never want to have a bad night out. We'll see as he tries to make it that far. Pace truck going to be in this time. Field is in the hands of the 69 Blake here on the inside of the racetrack. Green flag in the air. We are racing in heat race number 2.
Looks like the outside lane is where you want to be for the restart, Evan, because Christian Peterson rockets out to the lead just like they did in heat number 1. Going to take out to a huge lead in the outside lane. Starting heat, Blake Neer gets to the top side in that number 69 machine. He's going to lose second. Oh, Krahula gets turned here on the front straightaway here on lap number 1. I believe that may have been McNaughton that he got involved with. That was actually the 87 machine of Matthew Murphy. They got together on the front straightaway. No caution here in the heat. So these guys will keep going. Unfortunately, into the heat, really, for Krahula, who was running in the 4th position.
And it was an awfully big slide from Murphy to go bottom to top. Obviously, those trucks are going to end up as close to the outside wall as you could get. And when you're running on the bottom side of the racetrack, obviously there's going to be that push off of the quarter, but I mean, not much James Krahula could have done there. He's back rolling, but he is no longer anywhere near threatening for a transfer spot. He's fallen all the way down that scoring pylon and runs in 7th out of the 7 trucks who started this race. So you reset, it's Christian Peterson leading this time by. He'll finish 4 of the 8 laps and will be halfway in heat race number 2. He is on a rail right now, running that outside line nearly to perfection. Blake Neer, who started on pole in this one, has fallen back to second. He's struggling a little bit that time in turn 1, but I think there's enough space between he, Landon Austin, who sits 3rd, and then John McNaughton, first truck out, that it's not going to be an issue. In fact, 4th and 5th is where the fight's going to be. The fight is for the first runner-up position. Neither of these drivers locking into the main event where they sit.
Except for Matthew Murphy. He was that driver who got involved with Krahula. Good recovery from him, though, in the 4th spot 2 laps ago. Next time by, but John McNaughton, he's trying to figure this stuff out. He's actually running a little bit lower line than some of these guys. He is letting that 11 machine hang out. At least he was until he rode up into the outside wall. Can't get it off, and now he's going to be in danger of losing that 5th position.
And again, 5th position isn't going to get you to the main event, but certainly a little bit of a better starting spot for the LCQ later on, and gives you that little bit of an upper hand, I would say, headed into the main event, depending on where you qualify. Those top 3 positions, though, on the grid in both heat races has been pretty untouchable thus far. And for Christian Peterson, smooth sailing, the gap's going to be nearly 3 seconds by the time he comes off of turn 4 for the final time. Christian Peterson wins in heat race number 2. Did not start from pole, but led all the way after a quick pass. It is going to be Blake Neer, who finishes in 2nd position, who will also transfer, and Landon Austin's number 28. Starts 3rd, finishes 3rd. He's the only driver that didn't go up or down in the running order throughout that race. He will also be headed to the main event.
Matthew Murphy ends up in 4th. John McNaughton in 5th. Paul Henley and James Krahula round out your field in heat number 2. Now, Evan, the benefit of starting in your final heat number 3, you're able to watch all the rest of the field and see what they've been doing on these restarts and what you've seen there. If I'm Jeremy Adams, I'm asking Kyle in the CEA Championship hauler, in the admin hauler, I'm just asking if I could choose lanes on the restart. Because if the previous trends are showing, it's like Devin Morgan may get a good restart and may walk away with his heat.
Yeah, that certainly hasn't been the best place to be. Technically, your pole sitter will take a look at the running order as heat race number 3 now rolls off for the grid. Jeremy Adams will start this one on pole, and it will be the 112 of Devin Morgan to the outside, starting in the number 2 spot. Back on row 2, 3rd spot tonight belongs to William Kemp. Reese Bayham going to be 4th with John Lade. Jacob Porter teaming up on row 3. That'll be 5th and 6th respectively. And Tom Moreno will roll from 7th position. That is a look top to bottom at your starting grid for heat race number 3. If you're Devin Morgan up top, you're going to be feeling pretty good, but I'm still waiting for somebody to come from outside of those top 3 and break into this thing. I know 100 laps is a long way in the main event, but These heats are really showing us just how important that track position is, and we've yet to see a big surprise. Maybe Heat Race 3 will give us the theatrics, because Gabe, just as equally as those drivers from earlier had been now have the opportunity to watch this heat race, the drivers in this heat race had been watching those previous ones. If I'm 4th through 7th right now, I know that the odds are stacked against me. I'm going to have to pull the sleeves up and maybe get a little bit physical if I want to lock in to the main event. Pace truck in this time. We'll see if the Indiana Jeremy Adams can do anything on the inside of the racetrack. Green flag in the air. It's heat race number 3. And again, the outside is better. It's Devin Morgan to the race lead on the outside.
3 wide for the 3rd position. That sorts out. Now the 1 machine on the top, that's Reese Bam. He gets a run, but it's not going to be enough. There's still 3 wide going into turn number 3. The 21 machine of John Lyday. He goes to the bottom trying to make it work. He's going to slide up, pull a little bit of a slide job. But now that's going to put him side by side with Jacob Porter as the 1 machine of Reese Bam. He starts to pull away. The battle's still on for 4th.
In a 3 truck's going to be the only driver still trying to fight on the inside of the racetrack. He will lose in that fight for 4th position. So John Lyday does tank in the 3. Huge hit to the outside wall, as that truck did not want to break sideways at all. And he got up into the outside wall. It was a pretty good hit, but so far everybody is okay.
Well, the 1 machine up into the outside wall.
Yeah, it's going to open up the door for the 21. Lyday now going to try the bottom of the racetrack. He might have to go for the slide job because he doesn't really want to stick way down there. The 3 into the outside wall again. And the 1's going to cross him over. So now Bayham stuck on the inside.
Can he get the slide job going? No, he's not. Lyday pulls the great crossover. He knew that was going to happen. The 1 machine drove it in too hard. That's going to open up 3rd. Now that's going to be the battle on for 4th. They go off into turn number 3, only at the halfway point of this heat. This is a pretty good heat, Evan. It looks like the racing starting a little bit better. Porter gets turned up into the wall by the 09 of William Kemp. Porter gets it going in the 42 machine of Tom Moreno. Nowhere to go. Looks like he thought the 09... Well, it looks like he was just turned into the corner. He just could not get the car back the other direction. That's the one thing about dirt. You pretty much committed to the line you're running.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of the chaos out of what we were seeing mid-pack, because now it's just Bayham in 4th position, who wants to try to catch up to Lyday, but he's not currently showing the speed to do so. Devin Morgan still leads this race. Jeremy Adams runs in 2nd, and then John Lyday, who was able to kind of crack into the top 3. First time tonight we've seen somebody do so in these heat races. Started 5th, and now runs in 3rd position. So Lyday did exactly what he needed to do with a couple of crossovers high and low, and I don't think anything else is going to change unless we see a self-inflicted and a big mistake and one of your race leaders. Final time down the back for Devin Morgan, 2nd race in a row. The driver who starts 2nd and goes to the race lead will lead every single lap. It is heat race number 3, and it is Devin Morgan who is headed to the main event. Adams comes across 2nd, and John Lyday comfortably ahead of the 4th place truck will be your 3rd and final transfer.
4th place is going to go to Reese Bam, Jacob Porter, and William Kemp, and Tom Moreno. We saw get caught up in that 3-car accident. And Evan, you said it's the 2nd race in a row that we've seen that happen, where the 2nd place starter ends up taking the lead on the restart, and the 3rd race in a row where the pole sitter ends up not walking away with the victory, because the 3rd place starter, actually the 4th race in a row, or 3rd heat race, all 3 heat races, I got confused there. All of the 2nd place starters ended up walking away with that victory. I'm going to be asking the admins if I could choose the initial lane on the restart, because that's going to be big.
And if not, maybe being the heat race number 2 winner might be an advantage if that does put you on the outside of the front row. Still a lot of racing to come tonight for the Eldora Speedway. What we'll do is we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside, and when we come back, the LCQ and the main still to come. You're watching LSR TV's coverage of the CEA American Bull Supply Truck Series. We get back on the dirt when we come back. And back live from the Eldora Speedway as we get set to go main event racing. All the 3 heat races have gone to a close. We're happy that you're still with us, LSR TV and the iRacing Sports Network. At Algate, we get right into tonight's 100-lap main event. And sometimes, well, being real fast at a heats ain't all that good for you. Top 10 invert means we're going to have some of the fastest trucks mid-pack, and it should be a heck of an excited finish here for round 18.
Yep, 21 cars, 21 hungry drivers, and Gerald Campbell actually comes out the best in the heat races because he's going to walk away with the pole for tonight's feature. Or could we say John Lyday, who's going to start on the outside lane, is going to come away with it because we saw in all those heat races, second place driver always walked away with the lead coming out of turn number 2. But those are your first 2 drivers on the starting grid. Evan, your top 10 drivers: Landon Austin, Andrew Fayas, Jeremy Adams, Blake Neer, Todd Guerin. Devin Morgan rolls off in 8th. Christian Peterson and Tyler Dalton round out your top 10.
And it is a big field in this one. 11th spot belongs to Matthew Murphy. You've got Reese Bayham back in that 12th position. John Biganaka and John Theodore going to make up row 7. That'll be 13th and 14th respectively. Jacob Porter starts 15th tonight with Derek Paulson. In 16th, Paul Henley in 17th. William Kemp 18th with Gary Sexton. And James Korhula back on row 10, 19th and 20th. And P21 is Tom Morano. That is going to be a complete look top to bottom at your LSR TV starting grid. And certainly a lot of the aspects of the heat races are going to be the same. But again, the big things to keep an eye on is, one, it's a 100-lap race. It's a lot longer, I'd say, than the 8 laps we saw in the heats, but also gave in the heat races, no doubt, track position was pretty critical. And again, with that top 10 invert, certainly mid-pack, I think, could be very chaotic out of the gate.
I'm sorry, Evan, could you repeat that? The pyrotechnic show on the back straightaway is making me go a little bit deaf. A huge display here at Eldora. It's nice that iRacing added that in here. It's a great detail. Every feature at Eldora has it, especially the truck series. I was there last year, and it is an awesome sight to behold. The truck series at Eldora, and not only there, but here on iRacing as 21 drivers get ready to roll off. We've seen they've got the talent, and it's 100 laps to show off that talent. Evan's going to be a great race with Gerald Campbell. Didn't finish too well in his heat race, but he's going to walk away with the pole and maybe capitalize on that and score the victory here at Eldora.
And there are going to be fireworks after the race. Something tells me, though, we'll see some over the course of this 100-lap main event. The pace truck's going to go in, and it is going to be Gerald Campbell who ends up on pole. Green flag in the air, and we are racing at Eldora in the CEA American Bull Supply Truck Series. And the inside, not a good start. Campbell got the jump, but the outside for Lyday, the 77 of Fayash, and now the 89 machine of Adams and Blake Neer all go to the outside of the racetrack, so Campbell gets absolutely swarmed as everybody tries to go high.
Move Fayash up into the second position, the 69 machine of Blake Neer up into third, but here comes Devin Morgan, all your heat winners up here in the front. It's like a good start for Landon Austin. Landon Austin, Tyler Dalton started in 10th, now up to 7th. He's racing 3 wide. Christian Peterson getting pushed around here. They're 3 wide again. The 13 machine, it looks like Jeremy Adams in the 89 trying to work his way up on the top side.
Gonna work your way up, and certainly that outside has been very good early on. You saw how quickly that your pole sitter Gerald Campbell got jumped over. He's going to be outside of the top 10 before we even complete 3 laps in this race. So certainly not been a good night for him, but a battle for the race lead. Here comes Fayash, still early on, but to make a big slide, he goes high. It'll leave the inside open. Lade goes for the crossover, but I don't think that's going to work. He'll have the inside. He's going to have to go way shallow, but he can't come up in time. And Fayash somehow hangs on for the race lead after Lade got up and tagged him. and it was a well-executed move on the inside. The 77 with the race lead early on. He's already up 3 spots and in control now.
Fayas with the power move to the lead in turn number 3, but here comes Blake Neer coming back at him. A good run coming off of turn number 2. Don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to drive it off straight into turn number 3. Somehow doesn't get to the outside wall, and we could see 2 different driving styles here. Evan, as a caution comes out, what we got here for the wreck. Look through your field to see who the cause of the caution was.
Maybe Morgan here in the 112 machine. It was tough to look because as soon as that yellow came out, everybody was back rolling, but it was Devin Morgan in the 112 machine. He was scored in 4th position and went for that move that we saw to Fayash. You got to go for the slide job. The inside's the shorter way around, but you have a lot less speed off of the corner. He certainly put the big slide job on that 21 of John Lyne, and instead of going for the crossover, the 21 just held his ground and disposed of Devin Morgan's machine, and that is where the spin comes from.
Yep, and to some of you guys who have never driven on a dirt track before, slide jobs look cool, and they're a great way to pass somebody, but they're pretty much the least respected way to pass somebody on the clay, and you pretty much have to trust that the guy behind you you're either gonna clear him by a lot where it won't matter. He's gonna go for the crossover or brake. But John Lyde, he didn't like the disrespect of the slide job, so he just went and plowed right into the 112 machine. I don't blame him, because that's his spot to hold. I mean, it's just one thing, gotta have a little bit of trust with the guys here on the dirt.
Well, we saw that happen in the battle for the race lead. Fayash went down to the inside, and when Lade tried the crossover, he got down while the 77 pushed up high, but it ended up swapping out that preferred lane position. That's how Fayash got the lead. So I think a message being sent early on that I'm not going to let you just come up and push me out of my lane. So maybe the incentive has been set. These guys are setting the tone early on. Green flag back in the air as we complete 9 laps. Only a tenth of the way through, and Blake Neer smacks the inside wall on the inside. Those drivers are trying to cut it so tight. I'm curious if the 69 got any damage out of that one. They're now 3 wide. It's Devin Morgan on the inside, but a quick caution.
Devin Morgan makes up a couple of spots here. It looks like we got the 84 machine spun around with the 5, Derek Paulson. Trying to see what happened. It actually started off with your pole sitter, Gerald Campbell, in turn number 3. Looks like he got turned around, and everybody kind of stacked up behind him.
Yeah, it looked like he might have tagged the outside wall headed into the corner, and it obviously took a lot of speed away from him, and that one was trying to split the 3 wide. Reese Bayham trying to slice up the middle, tagged him, and that is evidently what set him around, and then there was a ton of contact after that. Cars trying to get off each other. The 5 of Paulson split out. Paul Henley also went around it. Those are the trucks that you had mentioned that were wrong way around on the inside of the racetrack. So a couple of trucks get torn up in that one, and after being able to go through those heat races relatively without incident, 2 quick yellows here in the main event, just showing you the difficulty that naturally comes with trying to race with 21 trucks on the racetrack at the same time, compared to a lot of what you'll see here at Eldora if you race a majority of the dirt cars on the iRacing service. These trucks are a lot bigger. They're significantly wider and bulkier than most dirt cars, so certainly not a lot of real estate when these guys are out there door to door.
No, it's a little bit different from running, maybe a midget around here. It's one thing, these trucks, and they're even bigger than late models. And late models, at least you have a little bit of leeway with the fenders, and they're a little bit easier to get into a corner. And these things just unfortunately, they handle awful because they're truck arm suspension asphalt cars on dirt, but that's what makes it so fun. Getting ready for the restart here on lap number 13.
Pace car is going to come back down and in, and Fayash with a much better jump at the outside is going to put that 26 of Landon Austin now in the hot seat. He needs to find a spot in line sooner rather than later, and Tyler Dalton's on his outside, but look at Devin Morgan. Second restart in a row, the 112 goes all the way down. He'll do a little bit of a half slide job to come up and box that 28 out, and again, Landon Austin was the control car for that restart. He's already lost 5 spots. The inside, not a good place to be at all.
Devin Morgan seemed to make it work for a couple laps there. He was able to work his way back up into the top 5. Here comes John Lyde with an attempted slide job, but didn't really have any room to pull it off there, so it looks like maybe he was just trying to get a good run there on the bottom. He's going to end up getting overtaken by the 89 machine of Jeremy Adams. Andrew Fayash continuing to lead. Tyler Dalton about half a second back. Christian Peterson, we saw him getting beat up there in the early going from his starting position. He was starting ninth. He's up to third. He's tied right now for your biggest mover with Tyler Dalton. They started ninth and 10th, respectively. Just great racing here so far, and it's amazing. You know, Christian Peterson can run right on the rear bumper of the 19 machine and not even touching him, not one bit. And he's racing really, really well.
And no doubt that those are the drivers who went through the field again with the top 10 invert. Dalton technically qualifies in based on those heat results as your number 1 qualifier. Pearson, your number 2 qualifier. And they have been able to work their way through the field right now to second and third, as you mentioned. Not either surprised that Todd Guerin and Devin Morgan are behind them in our same spot, but the 19 made a mistake. Tyler Dalton couldn't straighten him out. Look at Devin Morgan again. Just so aggressive. There's no hesitation when the 112 throws it into the corner, and that time he didn't pull up in front of anybody. He was able to keep it off of him, and he will stay back in 5th. But if I was anybody running 2nd, 3rd, or 4th right now, I would absolutely recommend against giving him even the slightest bit of daylight to work with, because we've seen Devin Morgan is certainly going to lick the stamp and send it as he tries to work his way back to the front. But Andrew Fayash, who really benefited from that top 10 invert game.
Oh, car spun around in 3, Evan.
And there's the caution flag. 3rd yellow flag of the night. The truck around in turn 3 is going to bring this one out and slow things down again.
Jacob Porter.
That is the 3. So the 3 car spins in 3. 3rd caution of the night. He ended up against the inside wall, and the replay will show you, Gabe, looked like he just over-rotated a little bit. Obviously, you got to break that car sideways, but it got sideways to the point where it basically just scrubbing off speed, almost completely parallel, with the other cars, and he got tagged by the 69, who I think was just doing a lot better job of carrying speed through the corner. That was Blake Neer, and that's where those 2 cars get together.
Now, Evan, I wanted to talk about this when we talked about Devin Morgan making aggressive moves. Actually, looking at it, he's making smart aggressive moves. He doesn't just dive bomb whenever he sees the opportunity. He's actually looking for breaks and momentum. When the 1923 started racing side by side, that's when you saw him try and pull off a move. He didn't do that before. He had speed behind them, but he waited till he knew that he could have an opportunity to make the pass cleanly and not, rub up into somebody. So I'm seeing some very smart moves from the 112 so far.
Well, he's going to have an opportunity again to make some of those moves, because he will once more be pinned on the inside of the racetrack for an upcoming restart. And the advantage that Fayash gets here is I think he has a good chance of defending the race lead many times, because again, he's on the outside, but without the invert, he would have started this race in P6. Because of the invert, he rolled off in 4th. As the lights go back on top of the pace car for a moment, so we'll try again and go green the next time around. So, Peterson's come to the field, Dalton, Guerin, and Morgan have, but I think Fayash, Gabe, doing the most out of anybody, as we've seen all those other drivers who got some of the better qualifying spots because of the invert fade. 77's the only one who I think is really taking advantage of that opportunity.
Get back to your field, looking at any sort of big movers here. A couple of guys we haven't talked about. William Kemp and Tom Moreno, they're running 12th and 13th. Moreno up from 21st and William Kemp up from 18th. Those guys are doing a good job of working their way up to the field. Moreno especially, he didn't get as many laps as the rest of these guys. He got taken out in the heat race, didn't get too many practice laps, so he didn't get any practice for qualifying, I don't believe. So Tom Moreno doing a really good job, and behind them is just the opposite story, the pole sitter Gerald Campbell back in 14th. Getting ready for the restart here on lap number 25, quarter of the way through the Eldora 100.
It's certainly been a rough opening quarter to this 18th race in the season. We'll see what the restart brings. The 77 on the outside does have that lane position, again, able to choose. He wants to go up top, so that certainly has been helping out Fayash. We talked about the importance of that, and on the inside of the racetrack now, you can see that 19 machine of Tyler Dalton. Not a lot of places to go. The 13 of Guerin now into the outside wall, and it is a huge log jam for 3rd on back. The 19 can't slide high, and the 13 flies on the outside of the racetrack. These drivers certainly very aggressive, so when we watch this, though, keep a half eye on the battle for the race lead. Peterson not letting the 77 get away. I think closest battle for the race lead thus far.
Yep, because now you're starting to finally see the guys who started in the back, on the back half of the top 10. Those were your heat winners and your fast qualifiers. they're finally up near the front. They started 4th, 9th, 7th. Those guys are up there. But John Lyday actually started 2nd. He's up to 4th, so he's actually doing a great job of hanging on. He's in a battle right now at the moment with the 13 of Todd Guerin. Christian Peterson, he's right on the back bumper now, Evan, of that 77 Andrew Fayash.
He's right on the back of the 77 machine, and Fayash knows that if he's able to just maintain that preferred line, that he's really going to have to force Peterson into an aggressive dive down low. And there's a caution flag. That one's going to have to wait. Another yellow. Everybody checks up on the back straightaway. Looks like whatever the incident was, everybody was able to get back rolling. It was the 09 of William Kemp, who just got turned around and kept on rolling. He got tagged with a 69 machine, second incident in a row that Blake Neer has been involved in.
Yeah, but that one was none of his doing. The 09 actually went off into turn number 3 and made contact with the 84. We saw him go off into turn number 3 and he comes back down the racetrack, and the 69, he was just running a middle lane. So, you know, it's just really a racing move there. Well, I wouldn't say racing, but those guys, they couldn't really stay off of each other there. So, no fault for me for any of those guys involved.
So another opportunity for some of the drivers up front to make a play on these restarts. I think they have been the most critical parts of this race, and the fact that we're only 31 laps in of 100 in this main event kind of goes to show you that obviously they are going to be very important as the night goes on. We double up. Fayash again choosing the outside line. Even though you were questioning if he was going to have the opportunity to do so, it's very clearly been helping him out that he has the chance to select outside.
And that's pretty much the controlling factor. I've had many a race at Eldora where, you know, you want to start on the outside. You want to start on the outside. You finally get the opportunity to. You take advantage of it and get the lead. And then you can have that power. It's like you hate it when somebody else does it to you, but you love to do it to everybody else. So here we go for the restart here on lap number 32, the 4th caution, 4th restart of the night. Go off into turn number 1. John Lyday right on the back bumper of Fayash. Can Christian Peterson clear the 21 machine? He can't, but here comes Lyday in the 21 machine. Back up into the position he started in. Big run and big hit on the wall for the 21 machine. That's going to get him loose, but he's going to keep it going. So John Lyday with a power move up into the 2nd position.
And that 77 got into the wall, and it slowed him down, and a caution flag comes out just as Peterson was about to go back up and around on the outside to take that spot back. This yellow is for the yellow number 4 of James Krahula. He just kind of got pinched in between the 1 and the 3. I don't think that anybody really could have done anything to avoid that one, just a racing deal. So his JMK supply entry does spin. And again, it is another quick pull on the caution flag. It will slow things down once more. Good timing. If I'm John Lyday, we'll see if he can make the inside of the front row work, but Christian Peterson was about to pass him right back, and that yellow comes out 1 to 2 seconds later. It's a different look on the front couple of rows, but instead, Lyday will have an opportunity to restart this race in the front row for the first time since we took the green flag earlier on this race about 36 now laps ago.
To go here, we're going to get probably quick yellows here at the dirt tracks. That is the one saving grace. At least it's not like having to do 5 laps under caution at Pocono, so we can get back to the racing action pretty quickly here at Eldora. Andrew Fayash has led pretty much the entire way, especially once he got to the lead. He hasn't let it go since. He's been close. There's been a couple of guys who have gotten up there. Fayash taking the outside lane here again. That, you know, Christian Peterson, it looked like he was getting ready to make a move, then the caution came out. The 21 of John Lyday, he was getting ready to make another move, but the caution came out. So Fayash may not be invincible here. We're seeing a couple of cracks in his facade here, and John Lyday looks to maybe try and take advantage of it.
And that mistake off of the restart certainly didn't help the 77 either. We'll see if he can be a little bit smoother this time around. 37 laps complete, still in the opening half of the Eldora 100. Green flag back in the air. It's a good jump for the 21. Lyday is going to be there to turn 1, but the problem is it's hard to make that move the first time into the corner. He'll slide high, and he puts the block. In fact, the 77 spins. It is Fayash, and a huge wreck on the back straightaway.
Fayash didn't lift, just like Lyde didn't do to the 112 machine, and Fayash ends up getting turned by the 19. See if that collects anybody else. It looks like 77 got caught by the 87. Maybe gonna have to go back and look at it, but a couple of cars bounce off of him, the 3 and the 1. So unfortunate and end of the night blown motor for the 77.
And he had
not gonna be happy.
Yeah, no, and he looked like a little bit of a late decision almost. If he wanted to just hold that ground like we had seen previously, or you go for the move in which the 77 did to take the race lead. When he dove to the inside, your at-time race leader, they crossed him over, and unfortunately for the 77, just bad timing. He nicked the 21, and that slowed him down enough to where the cars behind him caught up, and he did eventually spin across the nose of Tyler Dalton. And all of a sudden, one of the best cars all night that looked pretty rock solid for a lot of this race up until this point. Had a couple of iffy restarts, a good jump for the 21 of Lyde, and no doubt an aggressive move to make right out of the gate. The reason I don't think we've seen a lot of drivers, Gabe, do that right off for the restart is because when you're getting up to speed, the inside's that much more difficult. At least at speed, you can go for that slide job a little bit more. Certainly Lyde, though, is tired of getting pinned down, and he finally had that opportunity to get back up to the front row, decided to take it, and it has worked out. May not have been as clean as you would have liked, but he's gone to the race lead at lap number 41. Fayash is out of this thing, and now Lyde, who started second, one of the only drivers left, courtesy of the invert, started up front and runs up front. All 4 trucks behind him started outside of the top 8. They are all your heat race winners and top finishers from a little bit earlier on this evening. So we'll see if the 21 can keep bearing the flag for those drivers as he takes the green flag, and now he needs to be concerned about somebody doing to him what he just did to Fayash. He'll keep Tyler Dalton low. They're going to be on each other's door, but the 21 maintains the lead down the back.
Yeah, the one thing you don't want to do is do a slide job on a restart like we saw Lyde do, because it's exactly what you saw happen. You know, to make a slide job work, like I said earlier, you have to count on the guy behind you letting off and kind of accepting the fact that you pulled that slide job. Problem is, on a restart, you've got 20 guys behind you. You can't exactly let off, and we saw that happen. And so I think the 19 machine knew that was kind of what was going to happen. He could see that happen. He saw it happen last time. So didn't pull off that slide job. Had the opportunity to do so, but if he actually loses one more position, he might be in a decent restart to get up into the lead if we get another caution.
And based on what we've seen so far, something tells me that that might just be the case. Only 3 drivers of the 20 who started this feature race are out of it. 17 trucks still on track, all of them on the lead lap right now. Quite the fight going on for second. The 23 is going to get tagged, and Peterson will spin. There is another caution, and it was in a very aggressive fight between Dalton and Peterson, 3rd and 4th, and Peterson got into the back of the 19, and Devin Morgan showed no mercy.
Nope, he's had enough of getting pulled up on. It looks like actually the 23 machine came down off the wall, got into the back of Tyler Dalton. And just another thing, and Morgan tried to slow down for him and let him catch it. The problem is, on dirt, it's not exactly easy to save the car if you're already getting sideways.
Yeah, so a tough incident there, no doubt. That's going to take another one of your top drivers. Not all that long ago, it was Peterson in first, and followed by a driver who had started this race in the number 4 spot, Fayash, who's now out of this race officially. They were 1-2, and now neither of those trucks right inside of the top 10. Pretty much quintessential dirt track racing. Very much a survival of the fittest, and of course, in those heat races, much shorter. And while the drivers, I would think, maybe a little bit more aggressive in that little bit of an atmosphere, again, the amount of trucks and the amount of damage, and I think maybe the impatience a little bit gave as well, but you have this many restarts kind of takes over, and that's why you see these drivers going so aggressively at one another.
Yeah, and like you said at the top of the show, Evan, you know, you're going to have to make your passes on a restart, or at least the majority of them, and that's what we're seeing, you know, especially from these guys up front, because they know that they're so closely matched. The only opportunity to get in front of them to make a good restart and make your case for it whenever everybody's kind of bunched up and losing momentum, like we've seen a couple of guys capitalizing on.
This one going to come just shy of the halfway point, 48 laps down and 52 laps to go from the Big E. It's going to be Lottie on the outside again, but look at the grease start for Todd Guerin, the 13, in a fantastic spot as he goes to the inside. He will slide up and shut the door. New race leader is Todd Guerin.
Oh, 19 of Tyler Doughton gets bounced off the outside wall, and he's going to get up into the 69 machine of Blake Neer. Everybody's going to survive at least turn number 4, surprisingly. That's going to shake up your top 3 just a little bit. Devin Morgan goes up into 3rd, and oh, Lane gets turned by the 13.
It was the battle for the race lead. Lane had just lost that position after the 13 had taken it away, and on that one, if I'm John Lottie, I'm not a fan because that 13 of Todd Guerin to put the slide job on him gave, if he really wanted to, probably could have dumped him when he did that, but he opted not to, and then he goes to give his own slide job, and Guerin was not nearly as generous as he was with him, and unfortunately that's sometimes the way it goes, and he gets dumped.
Unfortunate for the 21 Machina Lide. Had one of the strongest cars we've seen all night. He's got damage, but he's got a little bit of damage. I don't think too many people hit him, but the problem is, if you're that fast and you knew you had a chance to win it, an angry driver is not a fast driver because he's going to start overdriving it. So maybe expect something as John Lady comes up with the field.
So now the interesting thing I find is, you know, if your truck's not completely totaled, you know, the incident Fayash was in was a very big one. He bounced off at least half a dozen trucks. That'll tend to take you out of a race. But if you're in some of these accidents where you just spin and you drop back a couple of spots, I don't think you could just dump somebody and not be worried about them. Still with 48 laps to go in this race game, certainly with the amount of, with the amount of restarts that we've seen, gives drivers opportunities to gain spots. Nothing saying that guy's not going to be able to get back up to you and return the favor, so I'm doing my best here to maybe keep a mental note of some of these exchanges that we've seen, because we'll not at all be surprised if some of this comes back and haunts some guys later on.
And the one guy you don't want to do it to is John Lide, because he will come back and give it back.
Yeah, no, exactly, and you got to keep an eye on where he will be. He's got a long way to climb back up. We never say never. He has fallen to 15th position. So all of a sudden, now the battle for the race lead is Todd Guerin and Devin Morgan. Green flag in the air. There's already contact. The 13, instead of going way low, rides the door of the trucks to the outside, and he will force his way 3rd in line. He did not want to mess with the downside at all, and this one's going to be a quick caution as the issue's in the back with a 5 car.
Now, question is, Evan, why did he not take the outside lane on that restart?
Yeah, it's a fair point. They made a late switch with about a half a lap to go up until the restart. They swapped out lanes, and it is going to drop him back to 3rd position. If that was any sort of experiment, a different line, it certainly did not work. The 5's the truck that I mentioned that was in that accident. He was kind of a victim in all of that. It was John Theodore who got turned around by the 1 truck. That was the one of too many trucks wrecking, hard to get a name on all those drivers. That was the 1 truck of Reese Bayham who did get into him. So no surprise that a lot of these incidents come just to the fact that we're all grouped up at a restart, and it kind of is a vicious cycle. You get a wreck because you're in a big group, and that'll just lead you to grouping it back up and getting into another pack. Something that all those the mid-pack trucks, I should say, finding it difficult to break free from, which is making it challenging for some of those drivers who have had incidents early on to kind of get back up to the field. Is pretty chaotic back there.
Now, Evan, I'm getting a little buzz in my ear from Kyle Barnes, league owner and admin. Said the reason we saw that was the 13 went to go take the outside lane, and Kyle Barnes said, no, you did not call the outside lane in time, so he made him switch at the last second, and that ended up giving Devin Morgan the outside lane and the opportunity to take the lead, which he took full advantage of.
And you can see the 112 machine is very familiar with the process, as Morgan once again going to be up in front row. Look at the 13 machine all over him. I think Tyler Delta now maybe has got something to prove here as he messed that one up. And Devin Morgan now going to be in control of the field. It is going to be alongside to get it out of Jerry Adams. The 2nd place trucks to the inside doing a lot to kind of jump that restart, trying to get up in front of the trucks on the outside. The 89 completes the slide job, but here comes the crossover. Morgan at a big disadvantage to turn 3. He'll slide to the inside, and he gets up in front, but he crosses over for the 89 machine. Great start for the race lead. Here comes Morgan again. Third slide job in as many corners, and another one.
Can he get the momentum to go again? No, it doesn't look like he will, but I'm generally surprised that the jump the 89 machine got. If it's clean, it's clean. That's a very commendable move, and great move to get the lead. But Devin Morgan, he is driving the wheels off of that 112 truck to try to get back into the lead. Almost had it, but fortunately with 40 laps to go, he's now staring at the back bumper of the 89 machine.
Yeah, trying to get up on that 89. Jerry Adams, very quiet, interestingly enough, in all of this. He's the only driver for the top 10 who didn't change spots because with the invert, he qualified 5th, and well, he started there anyways. Caution flag going to come again. It's way on the back straightaway, and it 23. Is Christian Peterson. Yeah, you talk about guys who've had a little bit of a rough night. Peterson went for the low line, tried to come up in front of the Onada. We've seen this move countless times, and William Kemp, who was running in 11th position, has had a very good night, actually, for the Onada, up 7 spots from where he started. Was not about to roll over for Christian Peterson. It's just to use him up, and they took care of business, kept his foot in the gas, and it goes back into that concept to hold in your ground.
We're going to get another restart here with about 37, 36 laps to go here, Evan. Anybody you're taking a look at that's not in the lead or close to it that could maybe make an opportunity to get up here?
I mean, you look at somebody like a Tyler Dalton, obviously. He's been up in the mix a lot. Landon Austin has been quiet. Obviously, the big mover here is James Krahula. And Krahula had an incident in his heat race. So if he might be the one driver in my mind that maybe started this one outside of the top 10 and had a real opportunity. And yeah, there's still 37 laps to go. But 7th place is quite a disadvantage based on what we have seen in this race. Now, a couple more racks up front, something might happen. I think the key here, keep your truck clean. Krahula's got one of the cleaner ones, so don't count him out right now as he'll restart this one back on row 4.
Coming to the line this time, lap number 64. Jeremy Adams chooses the outside lane. That's going to put Devin Morgan on the bottom. We've seen he's not afraid to pull off the slide job, and the 89 machine knows how to pull a crossover, Evan. This is pretty much your perfect top 2. They're pretty much evenly matched. I've been looking forward to the final few laps of this restart, and then you throw in, like you said, Tyler Dalton and Todd Garrett. Looking forward to it.
Certainly are, and it is a exchanging of positions on the front row now. Morgan's going to be down low. Look for him to try to get that jump out of the corner to beat the 89 down to turn 1. We saw how great this battle was with the roles were reversed the last time. Let's see if they do it again this time. The 112 not good enough on the entry to the corner, and it's going to be much easier for Adams to hold the race lead, but Morgan slides right up in front of Dalton, and he'll take second away. The 19, I don't think, is going to take too kindly to that one.
No, but it helped the 112 machine actually get off the corner. I was expecting a wreck there, but the 19 machine just gave him a little bit of a bump. Was able to get up through there. Tyler Dalton now fighting with a 13 machine. Todd Garrett and Tyler Dalton, your top 3 or 3rd and 4th place drivers. A little bit farther back, we got the 28 machine fighting on the bottom. That's Landon Austin trying to take over that 5th position. He lost 5th to the 69 machine of Blake Neer, but he's trying to get it back. And here comes John Lyday. Oh no, if you're the 13 machine, here comes John Lyday. He's up into 6th.
And he's trying to complete a move right now for that number 6 spot. He gets around Landon Austin, so he'll officially be the only recipient of that spot as they were fighting for some time. The next driver he sets his sights on is the 69 of Blake Neer, who's only a couple of truck lengths out in front of him. It is going to be a lot more difficult, though, for Lyday to get around some of the trucks. Every single truck in front of him on track right now out-qualified him. Now, he started higher than them, but again, if you're just joining us with that top 10 invert, John Lyday was not as good in the heats, but they're fighting with each other. There's a lot of contact as he roughs up Blake Neer to get on by. Neer and lifted after Garrett was getting physical in front of him, and John Lyday now back into the top 5.
In the production hauler, all cameras on the 13 and 21 for the time being. Oh, Lyday, it looks like he's seeing red. He is driving hard to maybe not even wreck the 13 or rough him up, but just pass him and show, hey, you may have put me back there, but I'm back and I'm going to pass you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we are waiting to see. If something does come from this, or if you're Todd Guerin and you see that 21 behind you, do you get psyched out a little bit? Maybe just walk into a mistake and the 21 will just walk on by you. We'll see if anything comes from that. It is one of the closer battles on the racetrack right now in that fight for 4th and 5th. Tyler Dalton in a 19. He's not that far removed from this either. They're in 3rd, and all of these trucks just continue to get into the outside wall, completely abusing the right side of these race trucks.
Lide actually losing ground to the 13 now. The 13's actually, Garrett's actually running down Tyler Dalton for that podium spot, so that's actually going to be a fight there. Now, are they going to lose momentum? What will the 13 machine do? Is he just going to ride behind him? It looks like he's maybe trying to be using the outside lane, or at least drive off hard, because here it comes. He straightened it up early on the corner. He's able to get a good run off. Here, next time by 2 laps to go. 2 laps from now, it'll be 1/4 distance to the end of this race, a 3/4 distance through the race, and here comes John Lide again.
He tries to make another little bit of a charge there with the 13 machine having dropped back a little bit from Dalton. I don't think we've seen this much separation inside of the top 5 in some time. Probably working one of the longer green flag stretches now in the second half of this race. Jeremy Adams still your race leader. As this time by, we will be that 3/4 distance way through. 75 laps down now and just 25 to go. Adams has got a 1.5 advantage over Morgan for 2nd, Dalton's 3rd, and here's the fight now for 4th. So far, no contact as Lide looked to the inside. He wasn't close enough, Gabe, though, to go for that slide job, so he'll tuck back on the line, and he's vulnerable now because Blake Neer was all over the back of him.
69 just about turned him there in 3 and 4. Wouldn't be the first time we've seen somebody spin off the 69 machine, but that time it was John Lide just losing momentum, from that move, trying to go around the 13 machine. So Lide's got to run him back down again. A masterful job, actually, right there of running that outside lane and scraping the wall, because even if it was close, that right front fender never hit that outside wall. And here comes the 13 machine of Guerin. He makes a power move around the outside to get past the 19 machine for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, Dalton just messed up a couple of laps ago on the straightaway. It allowed the 13 to close, and the most difficult part of passing has always been that the inside's not the preferred lane. I'm not sure why Dalton opened it up for as long as he did. It obviously looked like he was trying to get a handle back on that truck, but certainly kind of left it wide open, and Todd Guerin very easily gets that position back. So it is going to be Guerin now to 3rd, Dalton runs at 4th, and John Lade continues to try to make something happen from P5 to the 69, is getting very impatient, running behind him. Blake Neer, they don't have much of that front bumper left, and he's all kinds of out of shape in the back straightaway. That should let Lade get away. He's into the outside wall. Blake Neer just trying to hang on for dear life right now.
Track really starting to get slick. That's the fun thing about dirt. The track that you have at the start of the race, not the same as it is on lap 10, 20, 30. It just is constantly changing. And you even have to change up lap by lap here at Eldora, because everybody running different sort of lines. You can run the outside, you can run the low side, either way you want. And Evan, a little bit of update. Devin Morgan running down Jeremy Adams. It was about a 2-second lead, now down to 1.1 seconds. It's 5 seconds over the next, the nearest car. Those are the only 2 drivers they have to worry about.
And that kind of helps them compartmentalize things. You can kind of focus on what the objective is on track. It's so easy in these dirt races, kind of sensory overload. There's so much happening at once. You just keep your foot in it. You're bouncing off of other trucks. You're bouncing off of the wall. And all of those things can certainly get very overwhelming in a hurry. Jeremy Adams is starting to get caught by Devin Morgan, so this thing might not be done yet. As your 2 race leaders fight with one another, only 16 laps to go, so if something is to happen, it's going to happen sooner rather than later. That last lap didn't look all that good, and Devin Morgan gives up a ton of time. He loses 3/10 on that lap alone. That really stings the 112.
But it's still the confidence builder that he can see that 89 machine getting bigger and bigger. This lap looks a lot better. Looks like in the lap times this time by, back down another 2/10, so that he's faster. He's just got to get consistent. It looks like he is, but he is driving the wheels off of that thing. Looking at the onboard footage, though, it's just sawing on the wheel.
He's absolutely solid. Look at the battle now. Christian Peterson and Gerald Campbell. This one back-to-back for 7th and 8th position, as Peterson's done a very respectable job of working his way back through the field after an incident. He had a 1-point drop to 15th or so, back inside of the top 10 now, and Gerald Campbell started on a pole, dropped back here almost immediately, so he has certainly also gotten his footing underneath him and has stopped that bleeding as he runs a lot more consistently now in that position. The race leaders are dealing with a ton of lap traffic now, though. Adams is catching up to a pair of lap trucks, the 1 and the 77. He tries to split the middle. It didn't really work that time. Devin Morgan is now flying up from P2. There's only a car length and a half between first and second now.
The first time all night they've had to deal with lap traffic. 112 with Devin Morgan to the bumper. He's going to put him into the wall. The 89 machine carries that momentum, though. Here comes the 112 machine. Can he pull off the slide job? Can't do it. And that lap car, the 1 machine, still running the outside lane. It's the first time all night they've had to deal with drivers that are slower than the lap traffic cars. The 84 machine, he goes to the bottom to get out of the way. The problem is the 112 is down there.
Yeah, and obviously the 1 machine's going to run that top because that's the preferred lane, but it's really hurting Jerry Adams. Look at him right there, just trying to get on through. He might have to go for a slide job type move just to get around traffic. Caution at 9 laps to go is going to set us up for a restart.
42 of Tom Moreno.
Wrong way around, pinned up against the inside of the racetrack. That'll end. It was the longest green flag stretch on the night, and as unfortunate as it is, gave that one just a single truck spin to bring out the caution.
That'll set up the restart here. Looking forward to it, Evan, and we do have green-white checkers, so even if we get within 3 laps to go, that is not going to be the end of it. Now, Devin Morgan, he now knows that he's faster. The problem is, he's going to be on the bottom again. He's going to have to pull off a masterful restart to get to the bottom and stay there at least and have a spot open at the top to get around. That'll be John Lyday, actually. Now here's the question, Evan. Are we going to see what we thought we were going to see earlier? We didn't end up catching anything, but the 13 versus the 21, we know it was a battle for the lead and ended up turning sour. We're going to see anything from that because they're going to be both on row number 2.
They're going to be side by side with each other. I am a little bit disappointed that we aren't going to be able to see what would have happened if Adams and Morgan would have been able to race it up with that lap traffic, because the lap traffic was certainly in the way, but it wasn't, a lap machine that was so slow, Gabe, that they were easily able to get on by. It was Reese Mayhem trying to defend that final spot on the lead lap. I think Devin Morgan might have gotten something going on that very inside. Instead, though, it's just going to be mono e mono. And depending on how many other drivers want to get involved in this one, it could be a ton of fun towards the front of the field. Green-white checkers, as we noted, still a possibility if we need to go to a little bit of CEA overtime. But this restart is going to come up tentatively with 6 laps left to go from the Eldora Speedway. Control truck Jeremy Adams wants the outside line. It'll be the 112 of Morgan on the inside. Garrett Lyday 3rd, 4th, with Tyler Dalton rounding out the top 5 as we go back green and side by side to turn 1. It's a good jump for Morgan. Look for the slide job.
Here he comes, and he's going to clear. Doesn't even have to worry about the 89 machine. Devin Morgan clear out of turn number 2, and here comes John Lyday. He's going to have a shot at it here. 5 laps to go at the line. The 69 machine a plate near. He's to the back bumper of the 21 machine. Top 4th row him under a blanket. They're 3 wide back for, looks like, the 7th position. 21 gets into Lyday again.
Just see drivers beating and banging a little bit. It's Blanket here on the inside of the racetrack now. The 21 Lyday up top. That one the battle for 3rd. And again, Near can't do it. He's going to spin off of the corner. He will hang on. Somebody else is spinning, though. It's the Onata William Kemp. And a big wreck at lap number 97 will push us over to the end of this race for some overtime.
A couple of guys pulling off slide jobs for the 7th position. They're around there. It was actually 6th. Yeah, it's about the 7th position. So 28 tried to pull off a slide job. 19 didn't let off. Same thing we've seen all night. And Evan, at what point you kind of tell guys, it's like, hey, maybe if the guy pulled a slide job on you, maybe not now. We can kind of see these moves now. But if, early in the race we saw a lot of this happening, it's like, hey, we had this happen. You had the guy pull a slide job on you, let's let off and kind of save yourself and save the guys behind you, because we've seen that happen.
Yes, I certainly found it interesting when you talk about the dirt racing, the fact that at any other track, like asphalt racing or whatnot, if somebody pulls up in front of you and then you just run into the back of them, you're seen as the instigator of that. But at a dirt track, if somebody slides up in front of you, if you're hitting that car gate, you know you're going to hit them. The guy clears you by a trunk length. He's a lot slower than you. You can slow down, though, so I always like that, especially late in these races. It's a very clear decision by these drivers to kind of stand their ground and kind of say, listen, you're not just going to do that to me. You're not going to, pull the slide job. And very clearly, these drivers, stay in the gas to hold the position. It's very much a cultural thing, I would say, with the dirt racing, that they're very physical, but I think that drivers expect a certain amount of respect. And if you're just going to pull up on somebody like that, you're certainly going to feel what they think about it.
Well, now we get the chance to see these CEA green-white checker restarts. We've waited long enough. iRacing still working on green-white checker. Well, should say it's one of those things where it's hard to develop, so they haven't been able to implement it. So a lot of the leagues have taken it into their own hands and pulled out something that actually works pretty well. We've seen Kyle Barnes, he's been one of the first guys to use it, I do believe, but kind of doing a restart themselves, and it's kind of a good placeholder until we actually do get some green-white checkers. But one of those things where, and fireworks going off in the background, and the one thing to remember, these drivers no longer have spotters. It's the end of the race, and we have some guys turning each other in the back.
And I believe we're going to take one extra lap around. Sounded like the green flag was going to be this time. We will go one more time around before we do take that green-white checker. And because of that feature, if you will, or that rule being implemented by Kyle Barnes and everybody at the Championship Esports Association for all of their events that we see here on LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network, they have led it to some thrilling finishes. And there's a pretty good chance that tonight just going to be another one from the Eldora Speedway. Devin Morgan chooses the outside of the racetrack. Jeremy Adams on the inside is going to look to get that race lead back from him. There's going to be 2 laps to go in the American Bull Supply Truck Series, waiting on the green flag as the field paces into quarter number 4. The 112 is going to have the advantage, but does the 89 go for the slide job on the inside? 2 laps to go.
Going off at a turn number 1, 89 can't do it. He's not clear. Is he going to try and run the bottom? He's going to slam up into the 112. Here comes John Lightyear. Gets a move from the 89. May cost them all the win.
The 21's also going to squeeze him up and into the outside wall. There's a ton of cars all over each other behind him. Grahula's going to spin, but the white flag is in the air, and Devin Morgan got squeezed into the outside wall, but he survives all of the madness, and he'll come into 3 and 4 for the final time. A late race restart, not enough to take it away, and Devin Morgan's your Eldora winner in the CEA Truck Series.
Waiting to see these guys slow down. Yes, that is the finish. Just wanted to confirm there, Evan. But Devin Morgan pulls off a great win, and at times it seemed like, we had a couple of guys come out and, almost win this race. Faye Ash got taken out early, and then you had Jeremy Adams go out, and he started to pull away from Devin Morgan, and Morgan just found something along the top and started running very consistent lap times, was able to run him down. On the restart, he capitalized it and come out with a great finish here, Evan.
And when we saw Morgan getting pinched up onto the outside wall game in that battle with the 21 machine Elide, I was just thinking that those 2 trucks were going to get stuck together. And Christian Peterson was so low on the racetrack, I thought we might have been seeing him come slotted up and out of nowhere. But, Morgan took a couple of licks there and did not let those drivers take him out of this thing. Would be surprised if that 112 never took his foot off of the gas and just powered through as he was scraping on sheet metal on the outside wall. And it is a great run for Devin Morgan to get the race winner here tonight. And once again, a CEA green-white checker finish does not disappoint. And the added bonus, a race at Eldora, he able to actually pull it into victory lane. Devin Morgan celebrating the win here tonight from the Big E. What we'll do is we'll take one more quick opportunity to step aside, and when we come back, we will talk with your top finishers and get you set for the next race, because we are back next Sunday. We go road course racing the next time out. You've been watching the CEA American Bull Supply Truck Series at LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network, the post-race show, when we come back.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV, and it may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
And back live from the virtual Eldora Speedway, LSR TV's coverage of the Championship Esports Association and the American Bull Supply Truck Series continuing tonight with round 18. Another trip to the dirt has Devin Morgan in victory lane. We'll go trackside, talk with him in just a moment. First, I want to say a big thanks over to our friends at American Bull Supply. Coverage of the CEA American Bull Supply Truck Series is brought to you by them. American Bull Supply is a wholesale distributor of pool and landscaping products. They serve pool maintenance, resorts, apartment complexes, and HOAs in the Las Vegas area. You can learn more by checking them out on Facebook at American Bull Supply LV for more information. Here's going to be a look top to bottom at your LSR TV full race results on tonight's Eldora 100. David Morgan, Jeremy Adams, and John Lyday are your podium finishers. We'll go trackside and chat with them momentarily. Christian Peterson and James Grahula, 4th and 5th place tonight. Blake Neer comes home exactly where he started in P6 with Tyler Dalton, John Theodore, Reese Bayham, and William Kemp rounding out your top 10. Last couple of trucks who actually finished on the lead lap, Landon Austin comes home at 11th position. Paul Henley, 12th and 13th, does belong to Todd Guerin. Gerald Campbell comes home a lap down in 14th. Tom Morano's down 6th and 15th position. The rest of these trucks do not make it to the end. It'll be Andrew Fayash in 16th, Matthew Murphy in 17th, Derek Paulson 18th, Jacob Porter 19th, and John Bignaka in 20th. That is a complete look top to bottom at LSR TV. Full race results. He won it on a green-white checker. Devin Morgan takes home the checkered flag here tonight from the Eldora Speedway. We are standing by with the driver of the 112. Devin, congratulations on the win. A lot of Eldora out there, man. We knew that it was going to be an exciting race coming into this, and you guys did not disappoint. You know, there was a lot of restarts, but that certainly gave us up top here a ton to talk about. Tell us about not only that entire race, but especially some of those late race moves you made to put yourself in position to win this thing.
Yeah, I got some nose damage early in the race. I was switching between 3rd and 4th gear most of the time, and I think one of the mid-race restarts. I restarted about 7th and went to the bottom, and the leaders crashed, and it put me second, and I was able to get by the 13 and everything. And then when I had to switch back to 4th gear to keep from blowing my motor, Jeremy got by me, and I finally found something in 4th gear and ran him back down. Had that caution, which I was not looking forward to, but that last restart where I got him there, he went a little bit early and had to check up, and I got the jump on him there. Was able to slide him down into turn 1 and get the lead.
We did see, obviously, there was a big incentive of being on the outside of the racetrack. Now, inside it was wide open, so a lot of drivers were getting very spirited and, I think safe to say, aggressive with some of those moves at the inside of the racetrack. Obviously, you go down and try to slide up in front. To be able to control, though, your positioning on that front row, how critical was that, not only late in this race, but also throughout the course of this race to try to position yourself to be good? Because if you got stuck down low a lot tonight with all those restarts, you weren't having a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, I think the being on the front row was very critical, which I wasn't on it too much. I think I restarted 5th about 8 times, and then I started inside every time, and I just have to work my way up top, or just run someone into the wall to get that position. It's Eldora, and you gotta do what you gotta do.
I know you guys with a couple of limited starts in this season, but to be able to pick up another win, it seems like whenever you're in contention, you guys do very good. It'll be your 4th win on the season, but it also ends up being your 4th top 5 and 4th top 10. So if the truck's remotely good, you seem to have a way of being able to close these things out at the end. How does it feel to be able to lock up another one here on Sunday nights?
Oh, it feels great. We've had last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, at Richmond, had a really good truck, and I made a driver mistake on pit road, and that put me out of contention, so it feels good to come back and get in victory lane.
A lot more excited races coming up. I know certainly we were looking forward to Eldora. There's going to be a road course race next week at Most Sport. A lot more short track action coming up. How many more races are we going to see that 112 machine in? And are there any racetracks that you're looking at on the calendar that you certainly want to be here for?
I'm going to try to make as many as I possibly can. Real life racing kind of restricts me from some of them, but I'm going to try to hit as many as possible.
Well, it was a ton of fun having you here with us, Devin. We hope to catch up with you again soon. We'll let you take off and celebrate this win. Well, we got you down here in Victory Lane. Though, any sponsors or shout-outs you want to say hi to?
I want to thank my mom, my dad, BKP Art, Tubbs and More, Kathy Creek MX, Big Oak MX, Mad Dog Motorsports for an opportunity to be able to run in this amazing series.
We appreciate your time, Devin. Again, congratulations on the win. Looks like we've got about 8 races still left to go on the calendar, plus I think maybe one more race to make up. So we look forward to catching you next time. Again, congrats, and best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
The race winner tonight from the Eldora Speedway, Devin Morgan, gets the job done. And one driver that we talked a ton about tonight comes home in 3rd. It's the 21 of John Lyday, who comes home on the podium. John, congratulations. I know it's a solid result for you, no doubt. You started 2nd, you finished 3rd, but man, that is far from the tail of the tape. You had a hell of a night. Tell us about it.
First of all, I hope we check that, because I thought I finished P2. So if we could check the standings on that. But, yeah, I had a good time, started 2nd and, was able to get, some advantage on the top. And then we had a couple of tussles with different people, and kind of made our way through, and then got into Devin, and hated that for him. Then he was able to win, and then got spun out and made my way back through the field.
Obviously, this race started through those heats, and you guys benefited greatly from the invert. We saw a lot of drivers, somebody like a Devin who goes on to win this race, somebody like a Christian as well. They didn't struggle that much to very quickly make up that difference and get up front, and it seemed like you in that 21. We also saw Fayash do a pretty good job early as well. Use that track position to your advantage. Do you feel like at the end of the day that track position really helped you out in those heat races? It looked pretty difficult to come from outside of the top 3 to break into it, and with all of the chaos we saw mid-pack and all of the restarts, I would think that being up front helped your case.
Well, I guess, yeah, but it just really just depended on where you got caught up. You know, if you were on the bottom, it's pretty tough, man. You know, you could really get somebody to flying into turn one like we kind of did to each other back and forth there, and you know, get a good slide job going there, and next thing you know, you're stuck on the bottom. You're getting freight trained. You know, there's all these trucks here. It's just all about having that momentum. So I think I got real lucky. I restarted 8th after I kind of got through the field and had a big wreck that I got through coming from the back, and I ended up getting to 4th, and I kind of stuck around in that area until pretty much, you know, we got to this green-white checker, and from there it's pretty much just every man for himself. I told Devin I leaned on him as hard as I could there, you know, when Jeremy threw that slider on him, and that kind of didn't work out for Jeremy, but you know, I didn't want to wreck Devin, you know, 'cause I had already gotten into him one time and spun him around. So, you know, we'll take what we could get tonight, but I had a good time. You know, it's a lot of wrecking, a lot of crashing, but, you know, we'll take it.
Yeah, we certainly saw you leaning on him there on that green-white checker restart. There's a lot of exciting races, no doubt, coming up. A mix of short tracks, some of the bigger tracks, a road course race, and all of that sprinkled in there. But I don't think we're going to have another dirt race on the calendar unless something changes. What has been so fun for you to be able to take these big old trucks out on the dirt this year?
You know, like we did pretty good in Knoxville. A lot of this stuff is, you know, I got to give props to Jeremy Adams on really, you know, helping me hone my skills on the dirt. You know, he's just been a tremendous help on the dirt stuff. Just keep nagging me about running it with him. He's so good at this stuff, and I really wish he'd have won this race tonight. I think he was the best truck out here, bar none. So, you know, that's kind of what it's been, is just really just pummeling the dirt tracks and getting a lot of practice. And we turned probably 300-400 laps here today before we came into this race. So I felt pretty confident I could get a podium finish.
You guys are able to walk away with that second place. As you mentioned, got caught cheating there and looking at the stats. The unofficial results had you third, but it looked like, yeah, we saw you there. You're able to hang on to that second spot ahead of Jeremy there coming to the line. So congrats again on that P2. We'll let you jet out of here. I know it's been a long night. Before we do, anybody you want to say hi to?
You know, just say hi to the family, say hi to all my sponsors, ProTech. You know, thank you, Vincia Racing, Six Man Inc. You know, those guys, like I said, Jeremy, CP, Matt Cucker, all of them have been a big help in my success of being able to get these podiums here lately. Thank iAnalyze, as well as Austin Designs and GlobalCom. And thank you guys, American Pool Supply, for covering all this. And so thanks so much, guys. Glad to talk to you once again.
We appreciate you lending us some time here post-race. Again, congratulations on that P2, and still a lot of exciting stuff to come for the rest of the calendar, so hopefully we'll chat again. Congrats.
Yeah, man, thanks.
Second place finisher from the Eldora Speedway, John Lade on the green and white checker slides up into P2. Awfully close there with Devin Morgan, but they were fighting coming to the white flag as we saw a couple of looks at that run to the end, but he does come home in second position. And again, really all those results still unofficial as of now, but I believe it's going to be Morgan, your winner, Lide, Adams, Near, Peterson, more than likely going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If anything changes, we'll let you know, but pretty confident that Devin Morgan has picked up his 4th race win of the year here this evening, and a very fun way to close out our dirt part of this 2018 campaign. Going to do it as well for our post-race coverage, so as we step aside, I want to remind you that you don't have to wait another week until we have more live sim racing action here on your home for sim racing. Our action is going to resume tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, another installment of the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Of course, you can find a full schedule on our website, www.livesimracing.com. Stay up to date with us, though, and engage with us on social media. Like us at facebook.com/LSRTV official. You can also follow us on Twitter at LSRTV. On behalf of our entire team at Live Sim Racing LLC, for Kyle Barnes, the CEA, a big thanks to American Pool Supply, and on behalf of our broadcast team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, for Gabe Wood, and for our producer, Cisco Scarbuza, we want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Devin Morgan on Checkered Flag 4 of 2018. We will be back next Sunday. That one falls on September the 2nd as we go road course racing from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That race and every race of the CEA American Pool Supply Truck Series going to be found right here on LSR TV and your home for sim racing, the iRacing Esports Network. Until next time, though, good night from Eldora, and we'll catch you north of the border.